Hi, I'm Chris James, and you're watching A Healthy Alternative. Today, we're going to be talking about how much weight should you expect to gain after a fast.
We're missing a piece of the puzzle. You start getting healthy and you just become a better person. We need to start focusing more on the individual.
So I just want to remind everybody, if you've been enjoying our content and you've been following us for a while, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. It helps the videos out, helps us to reach a larger audience of people, and it is greatly appreciated. Thank you. So today we're going to be talking about what I call the fasting springback. Now, I've mentioned this on other videos before. Some of y'all know I used to be an electrician. And when you're bending big pipe, like big dimensions of pipe, you have what's called springback. It's where you bend it. Let's say you bend your pipe to a 90-degree angle, and then when you release it from the machine that it bends it, it wants to bend back the direction. So it's called springback. So there's a compensation that we're taught to do. It's a pretty exact, precise measurement that you do. You overbend the pipe. And then when it springs back to a perfect 90-degree angle. And we're going to essentially be talking about the fasting springback, which is the same thing. When you have a certain weight that you want to be, right? So you have your goal weight. A lot of people say, okay, I want to be, 150 pounds, 125 pounds, whatever. That's their goal weight. So they're thinking we're going to fast until we get to that weight. The problem, if there is one, when you get to that weight, 125 pounds, 150 pounds, if you stop fasting, or maybe if you just go back to old habits, but in general, when you stop fasting, there's a certain amount of weight that you're going to gain back. Even if you're fasting, you break it properly, and you go into a dietary strategy that is better than what you were doing before, you're still very likely to see this spring back. It also depends on the type of fasting regimen that you primarily were using to lose the weight. That's going to determine how much spring back you see as well. So, what causes the fasting spring back? Well, number one, you have to remember the body does have the ability to manufacture liquids, okay? Digestive fluids. When you fast, the body stops producing the quantities of digestive fluids, and then depending on the type of fasting you're doing, your digestive system can basically go completely to rest. So depending on the type of fasting you're doing, the body can at least limit production or almost eliminate production of these fluids. These fluids have weight. A gallon of water weighs something, right? So when you start fasting, you might hydrate better, right? You're gonna do the hydration thing, but over a period of time, you start to, you'll also lose that weight because of the fluids not being manufactured, bowel fluid and things of that nature. So when you come off of your fast, at the very least, there's a certain amount of weight you're going to gain because you're eating. And so now stomach acid production goes up, bile production goes up, ghrelin production goes up, and these fluids have weight, okay? Now, this is also the reason why we say often the weight you gain when you start eating is not the same weight that you lost. Meaning, if you had waste stored in your fat cells, and that was the weight that you lost, when you start eating, the digestive fluids and that type of stuff that's maybe starting to saturate your body, it's not the same, right? That's the reason why you could actually gain 5 or even as much as 10 pounds, but your clothes still fit you as if you were still in your fasted state. Now that goes for people who are going to break their fast properly. They're doing a proper refeed, and proper refeed for everyone's going to be a little different, right? We have some overarching guidelines for what you should be eating, but ultimately it's up to you to pay attention to your body. What can you eat that doesn't make you bloated, that doesn't, cause you to be inflamed, that doesn't give you gas? It's important for you when you come off your fast, you're paying attention. my sister and I, we used to kind of get a little bit of back and forth about farting. Right? She would fart, and I'd be like, "Yo, like that's kind of rude, just farting right in front of me." I wasn't used to girls farting, and she'd be like, "What? It's natural, you know." But you shouldn't just be gassy. You know what I mean? They say beans is good for the heart. The more you eat, the more you fart. So if beans are making you fart, then you shouldn't be eating them. There's something wrong with that. So we could look at foods that we traditionally say, oh, these are good foods or whatever. But if your body is not interacting with them properly, meaning if you don't have smooth, easy digestion, then you should probably reconsider eating that food item. Now, one good method to kind of help with the fasting spring back, right? If you really want to nail down what can you eat, what's not really that great to eat, practice monofasting. So monofasting is a method where you're going to choose one whole food item. So let's just say squash, right? And for that meal, all you're going to do is have squash. Now, when you're using the monofasting specifically for this, you can have two different meals a day, and you could be eating two different things. You're going to eat the squash for lunch, and then for dinner, maybe you have watermelon, or you have eggplant, or whatever. With this method, you could say, okay, how does my body react to just beans? I'm just eating beans. You know exactly what kind of beans you're eating. There's nothing else in there. If the beans make you gassy, okay, that's probably not something I need to include in my diet. You eat quinoa. Okay, how does the quinoa make you feel? Make you feel good? You have a good bowel movement? Okay, that goes in the eating category. You eat rice. Okay, rice makes me feel a little bit bloated, it's a little heavy. Goes in the stay away from category, right? So the fasting spring back, it's going to happen, okay? Now, what I have found is that if you come off of your fasting regimen, whatever that is, and you adopt a fully raw diet, the fasting spring back is almost non-existent. The reason why is although you're still going to increase the production of these fluids we talked about, typically eating a raw diet is still going to promote weight loss. So you can almost kind of balance it out or continue to lose weight depending on where you are in your journey using raw food. So that is one little trick. I'm not saying that it's 100% effective. Everyone's a little bit different, but I have seen for the most part, you can kind of counteract the spring back with raw food eating. Ultimately, I promote raw food eating as the optimal way to eat. Now, some people think raw food just means eating like raw carrots and stuff. That's not what we're talking about when we talk about raw eating. So if you're not familiar with it, I would suggest that you familiarize yourself. There's plenty of channels on YouTube and things like that where you could check this out. But at the end of the day, it's important to understand that if your goal is 125 pounds, you should probably get down to 115, right? That'll give you a nice little cushion for the spring back. And then ultimately, I think when it comes to weight loss, people just want to look a certain way. So if you, let's just say that you do overshoot and you lose an additional 10 pounds, you can always go to the gym and build that physique that you want because you've gotten down to a healthy weight, and then you could just kind of contour and shape your body through healthy exercise. So hopefully this helps. The fasting spring back is something that you should just know about, and it's okay. 9 times out of 10, even if you do experience this spring back after you've reached your goal weight, the weight that you gain is not the same weight that you lost. As long as you're eating healthily, you're still going to see the benefits of everything that you've done. So don't be discouraged, because I see a lot of people being discouraged by this. With that being said, hopefully you guys got some great information out of this video. If you did, don't forget the thumbs up button. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe. And as always, the application of knowledge is power. And I will see you all next time.